Hi everyone. Let's talk about Game of Thrones Season 6, Episode 2. So this episode starts off with Bran, and we didn't see him all of last season, so it was good to see him in this first shot of the second episode. So Bran is there with the three-eyed raven under the tree in the roots. So they're laying there, they're both touching the tree, and they're having this vision together. So the three-eyed raven takes him back in time, and Bran gets to see his father and his uncles and things when they were young. They were kids, like sparring each other. And then all of a sudden, Lyanna Stark rides in on a horse, and Bran says, "Oh, that's my aunt Lyanna." And he also said, "I want to see her because my dad never talked about her." Okay. And so they stay there for a little while, and then the three-eyed raven yanks him out. So when they get out of the dream state, Bran asks him, "Why did you take me away from that? I was finally home." And that was real sad to see him kind of go through that because he was back in Winterfell and he was happy for those few moments that he got to go there. Oh, and also during the flashback, he got to see Hodor when he was young and he could talk. So I guess something must have happened to him to make him be the person that he is now. And he's only able to say one word. So Bran wants to go outside. And when he goes outside, Mira is there. And she's basically talking about, she doesn't understand what she's doing there because all she does all day is sit around and watch Bran have these visions and she's not doing anything. And one of the children of the forest tells her, "Look, he's not going to be here forever. A war is coming and he's going to need you." In the next scene, we see we're in King's Landing and we see this guy, this drunk guy, talking all this crap about Cersei when she had to do her walk of shame. And he was being very vulgar and rude. And, he even said things like, "I whipped it out and she liked what she saw." I mean, he's just being real disrespectful, right? And people are laughing, and, some women are just like, rolling their eyes or whatever. And so the drunk guy goes to pee. He's standing on side of this wall or whatever, using the bathroom. And lo and behold, the monster mountain walks up to him. And the dude turns around, still in midstream, right? He turns around and looks at him. And the mountain just turns into the Hulk, like for 2 seconds, and just smashes the guy's head against the concrete of the wall. And, he just leaves brain particles on the side of that. I mean, he mountain smash. That's what I'm gonna call that. Mountain smash because he smashed his brains out. Okay, on the side of that wall. I was like, really? Okay. Later on, it's time to have Marcella's funeral. But Tommen is not gonna let Cersei go. And at first I was confused and I thought, why wouldn't he want his mom to be there at the funeral? That was so silly to me. But later we find out the reason why he didn't want his mom there was because he thought that the High Sparrow and his crew was going to do something to her, like maybe try to take her again or, hold her captive. And as he's standing there with Jaime talking about it, Jaime told him, "Look, you don't have to worry about that anymore. I'm here now." And Tommen also tells him that he feels guilty because he didn't go save Cersei when they took her the first time, and he didn't save Marjorie. And Jaime tells him, "Look, just go apologize to your mom and you'll be fine. Just apologize to her and tell her how you feel." So he leaves, and in walks the High Sparrow. And I love the dialogue that they have. They basically, kind of go back and forth, and Jaime grabs his sword, and the High Sparrow tells him, "Would you shed blood in this, holy place?" And Jamie was like, the guys have shed more blood than any of us ever could, you know. So the sparrow was like, oh, well, okay. So then all of the sparrow's followers, you know, come out of the woodwork and they all are armed. And Jamie's like looking around like, I don't know. So nothing happened in that moment, but it was basically them telling each other neither one of them were going to back down from each other. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. It's going to be an all out war. I already know. It's just going to be an all out war. Tommen goes to see Cersei and they have this whole conversation, and he apologizes for not coming to get her when they took her. And she said, you know, it's okay. She was just happy to see him. And he told her that he was sorry that he wasn't strong enough because she raised him to be strong. And he said, you know, Mother, will you help me? And she hugged him and she's like, yeah, you know, I got your back. But the look on Cersei's face, you can already tell she's just brewing something horrible up. Like she's going to persuade him to do some heinous stuff. She's out for revenge. She smells blood in the water and she's gonna use Tommen to wield that power. Meanwhile, across the seas, you have Tyrion and Vargas and Grey Worm and I forgot the other girl's name. Basically, Daenerys's council, who she left in charge, they're all sitting around talking, and Tyrion basically says that he wants the dragons to be free because he had read about dragons, and he said that, you know, back in the day when there were, you know, dragons galore, they grew up to be, you know, big and everything, and then when they started chaining them up, they didn't grow to be as big and they died out. So he said that it would be a good idea for them to set the dragons free. And they're all looking like, I mean, you know, that's a good idea, but who gonna do it? Okay. So cut to the next scene. Here goes Tyrion down to where the dragons are, and he's gonna set them free. Now this is a hilarious moment because Vargas is just looking at him like, "You really gonna go down there and let them dragons free? Like, you really gonna get close to the dragons?" So, of course, you know Tyrion had him a few drinks before he went down there. Okay, and so he goes to the dragons and he walks up on them, and you know he's talking real nice to them, like, "Don't eat me, you know." Don't burn me up. And so they don't. I was so nervous, like, please don't burn him up. So as Tyrion is creeping up to the dragons, he's telling them a story because he knows that dragons are intelligent and they can basically pick up on who's their enemy and who's not. So he's telling them, you know, I'm your mother's friend, you know, I come in peace. And he also tells them the story that when he was little, he asked his parents to, well, his father, to get him a dragon. And he said, you know, I don't care if it's small like me. Hmm. I just want a dragon. And Tyrion ended up crying all night long because his dad told him that there were no more dragons and he couldn't have one. So then, you know, Tyrion walks up to one of the dragons and he touches it and he lets both of the dragons free. And he hightails it out of there. And he told Vargas, you know, if I ever have another idea like that, please punch me in the face or smack me in the face. I mean, but hey, they're free now. So I'm very interested to see what happens next with the dragons. Next, we have Arya. And once again, the girl comes up and beats Arya up with the stick, of course. But at the end of the beating this time, Arya is just swinging wild. I mean, she's just going off. And she's just thinking probably in her head, I just want a piece of her. I just want to hit something, somebody. You ain't going to keep showing up, beating me up with this stick, girl, and I can't see you. so, so all the while she's swinging, she finally hit something. But, I mean, she didn't hit him. But he, like, grabbed the stick and he starts talking to her. and it's Jack and Hagar. I don't know if I'm saying his name right, but you know who I'm talking about. So it's him, and he asked her, what is your name? And she said, I am no one. And he said, I'll give you something to eat if you say, what's your name? And she's like, I am no one. And he tempts her with all these different things, like, I'll let you come home and you can sleep in a bed tonight. What's your name? And she kept saying, I am no one. So he kind of grins and he tells her, come on. So I guess she passed her first test. She was not tempted by the things that he was offering her. She just kept saying, I am no one. So she passed the test, so she gets to go home and I guess continue her training. The next scene is Ramsey and his snake self. Listen, in this scene, Ramsey and his homeboy is talking to Roose Bolton. And basically, Roose is just telling him, look, if you act like an animal, people are going to treat you like an animal. You have to think more logically about things. Like, you can't just go around murdering and killing and pillaging everything and everyone and think people are going to respect you, you know, because Ramsey was saying that he figured that Sansa was going to the Wall to be with Jon Snow, and they should go and attack and get her back and all that stuff, kill Jon Snow. And his dad was like, what are you talking about? Like, why would you do that? And then, we'd have the whole North against us. And Ramsey was like, we don't need the whole North behind us. We just need certain families behind us and we're good. So his dad is just looking at him like, you're an idiot. Shut up. So then the guy comes in and he tells Roose that his wife had the baby and it's a boy. Y'all, my stomach just sank because I knew Roose was going to be happy that it was a boy because, he has a true heir now. And in the back of my mind, I'm just thinking Ramsey is going to kill that baby. Well, I wasn't completely wrong. So Ramsey walks up to his dad, and his dad tells him, really nice, I'll never forget, you were my firstborn. And Ramsey was like, oh, that means a lot to me. And I thought they were going to share this touching moment. Then Ramsey stabs his father and kills him. Really, Ramsey? See, Ramsey is a special kind of crazy. He don't care about nobody. He don't care about nobody but himself and what he wants. Like, he's just cuckoo, okay? So no. He's a monster. He's not crazy. He's a monster. Because then, a few minutes later, he goes and meets with his stepmom and his newborn baby brother. And he takes them into the kennel with all his crazy flesh-eating dogs, and he sicked the dogs on them. And it killed the woman and her newborn 2 to 5 minute old baby. Really? Ramsey, that's what we gonna do? So we just killing babies out here? Really? Like, that woman was not gonna be a threat to you? What are you talking about? Or that baby? Honey, if you would have told her, look, y'all need to get gone because, your husband is dead and y'all need to leave. I don't want you here. She would have packed up her little stuff and left, right? But no, he can't just do the civil thing. He wants to kill him. I'm over it. You know what? I really want Jon Snow to kill him. For real, for real. We'll get to that later. So back at the camp, Sansa is sitting there talking to Brienne, and Brienne is telling her about the last time that she's seen Arya. And so Sansa knows that Arya is more than likely okay and alive. So that makes her feel a little bit better. And then she goes and talks to Theon, and they're talking about, making it to the Wall and, seeing Jon Snow and things of that nature. And Theon tells her that he's not going. And she kind of breaks down a little bit and she's like, why not? And he said, he will kill me as soon as he sees me, because of the betrayal that I did to him and his family. And she tries to make him feel better, and she says, "Look, I won't let him kill you. I'll just tell him what really happened, and you'll be okay." And it was a real sad moment because Theon, he will not forgive himself for what he did. Like, he still feels a lot of guilt, even though he's helped Sansa escape, even though he's been tortured and his spirit has been taken by Ramsay. His manhood has been taken by Ramsay. He has been reduced down to a dog by Ramsay. And he still feels like he hasn't paid for what he's done to the Stark family. And it's real sad to see it. But he said that he wanted to go home. So that's what he's going to do. He's going to go home. Then we go to Theon's family, right? So there, his sister and his dad is there talking, and they're kind of having an argument. And so when they get finished arguing, the father leaves, and he goes outside, and he's walking across this Indiana Jones looking bridge. Y'all remember that bridge in Indiana Jones? The first one, with the guy that was, trying to pull out Indiana's heart, like that big bridge that had all the alligators and stuff down in the water. Okay, so he was walking across this bridge that looks like that at night, in between two buildings, with this storm, brewing up, right? Okay. So as he's walking across this wibbly wobbly bridge, he sees this hooded person standing on the other end of it. So the guy starts walking towards him. And when he takes his hood off, it's revealed that it's Euron, like it's his brother. And, Theon's dad was like, "I thought you were dead," or "I thought you lost your mind at sea. How could you lose your mind during a storm?" And the guy goes, "I am the storm." All right now. So Euron tells the brother, who is Theon's dad, I forget his name, sorry, tells him that it's time for him to step down because he's old and he needs to just move to the side. It's time for a new leader. And Theon's dad is like, "No, I'm not going to do that." So Euron flips him over the bridge and he falls down to his death. I didn't see that coming. I mean, I saw it coming, but no. So let's talk about my favorite part of this episode, okay? Which is the end. So meanwhile, back at the wall, Alistair and all of the guys are standing out there, um, outside of the room where Jon Snow's body is at. And they have their bow and arrows drawn and all this stuff. So they're waiting for them to come out so they can kill everybody, kill Ghost, kill everyone, and burn their bodies. Like, they're just waiting to get through the door so they can go in there and kill everybody. Then all of a sudden, here comes 1-1, right? The giant wildling. He like breaks through the gate and all the wildlings just come running, right? So I'm hype. I'm like, "Oh, it's going down now, right?" Okay, so then all of the Night's Watchmen, they like freeze up. One guy, tries to come out with his sword and fight, and he gets stabbed and killed. Then this dude shoots this bow and arrow in 1-1's back, and 1-1 basically just turned around like, "Really? You gonna shoot a bow and arrow at me?" So he grabs him and like bangs him up against the side of the wall, right, and kills him instantly. So all the Night's Watchmen are just standing back like, "No, I ain't gonna be able to do this one. No, I don't know what to tell you." So Alistair's like, "Cowards, cowards, fight, fight." And they're looking at him like, "I don't see you running up against 1-1. Like, I don't see you charging at nobody. How you gonna tell us we cowards?" "Nah, I'm not doing that." So, so all the Night's Watchmen throw down their swords and they're like, "Nah, we cool. We don't want no problem. We don't want no problem." So that ended that, right? So then we cut to um Melisandre, and she's sitting in front of the fire, and Davos comes in there and he's talking to her, And he asked her, is there something that we can do for Jon Snow? And she's like, I know what you're trying to say, but I've never done that. I've never brought anyone back from the dead, and I really don't think it's possible. So, she's still doubting herself. But he kind of talks her into it anyway. So she goes in there and she cleans off John's body, and she does this incantation, I guess. She clips his hair off of his head. She clips some hair off of his chin. She throws it into the fire. She pours either water or oil or something on his hair, kind of anointing him in some kind of way, I guess. And she puts her hands on his chest, and you can see all the stab marks on his body. It was just, and he's all blue, and Ghost is like laying there under the table, just really, really not leaving John's side. So she says this incantation, and she's halfway into it. Like, a part of me feels like she wants to believe that the Lord of Light will bring him back, but it's like a part of her also feels like it's not gonna happen. Like, so she's trying, but she's also doubting herself. So I was like, oh girl, I'm gonna need you to put your heart into this, girl. You have to bring him back. So everybody in the room is just kind of looking like nothing's happening. It didn't work. So everybody leaves the room except Davos, and he's standing there looking at him like, dang, well, I tried. So he leaves, and I'm just like, oh, you better wake up, Jon. Jon, I'm gonna need you to wake up. Come on, wake up now. Come on now. You scaring me. I need you to come back, because this whole time I just cannot live with the fact that he's dead. Like, I was just one of those people. When it happened, I said, no, this can't be true. He has to come back. So I'm just sitting there looking and looking and looking like, wake up, wake up. So then they show Ghost. He was laying down on the ground, and then he sits up, and he kind of looks up at the table. And then, lo and behold, Jon opened his eyes. I knew he wasn't dead. He could not stay dead. So he woke up at the end of the episode, and I was screaming and hollering and just having a good time. Yes, he's back. He is back. He is back. And I cannot wait to see. I can't wait to see what happens. Oh, it just made me so happy. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode as much as I did. And I will see you guys in the next video. Oh, Jon Snow is back. I'm pumped. Let's get it.